Hello, welcome to Holy Mathematics. This is going to be the very first video of a series of videos on pure mathematics. So we are going to start from scratch. How can we start pure mathematics from scratch? It is by studying logic. Now, what is logic? We argue every day, every single day, just to show that we are always correct. Now think of this scenario. Now there are two people working in the same company. One is Rob and the other one is Bob. Rob is more senior than Bob and he's the ambitious one. Now one day their boss, Mr. Big, he comes and tells them that one of them would be promoted. So what does Rob do? He runs behind Mr. Big and says, Mr. Big, I think I deserve this promotion because I am the senior most person. Now, do you think that's a rational argument? I think that's kind of dumb. You know why? Because seniority does not necessarily imply being efficient. So, if we want to succeed, if we want to win in these real life situations, we must learn the art of rational argument. How to argue properly. Logic is the art of rational argument. Okay, now why we, students of mathematics, must have some knowledge of logic? Why? That is because logic is the foundation on which pure mathematics was constructed. Lord Bertrand Russell, have you heard of him? Russell once said, I quote, logic is the childhood of mathematics, and mathematics is the manhood of logic. I unquote. It is actually another way of saying that logic is the foundation on which pure mathematics was constructed. That is why we must know some logic. Now, if you know some logic, you will acquire two main capabilities that are essential for your success in mathematics. Let's see what those two capabilities are. The first one is you will get a sound idea of mathematical proofs. Now, I'm pretty sure that in school you've often come across problems which command you to prove this or prove that. So, in order to prove this or that, in a rational way, you must know mathematical proofs, methods of proof. All the inner workings of mathematical proofs was based on logical principles. So how can you understand mathematical proofs properly if you do not know logic? Right? The mathematical proofs, they are very important. They will not only give you the ability to prove a given statement, they will also compensate for your mathematical incapabilities. That is the advantage of knowing mathematical proofs. Now I am going to show you why you must understand the inner workings of mathematical proofs. It will make your life very easy. It will compensate for your mathematical incapabilities. Okay, let's say you are asked to prove if P, let's say P is some statement, is correct, then another statement which we will call Q must be correct. Okay, if P is correct, then Q invariably it must be a correct statement too, right? So this is the problem that you are asked to prove. Now, suppose you do not have the algebraic or geometrical, you know that there are a lot of theorems in mathematics. You may be unaware of these theorems. You may not be having that algebraic capability to directly prove that when P is correct, then Q must be the case. But if you know the inner workings of mathematical proofs, if you know your logic, then you know that P implies Q is equivalent to not Q implies not P. That means if we can prove that when Q is wrong, P is not going to be the case, then we have, in an indirect manner, we have proved that if P is correct, then Q is correct too. Again, I repeat, this is an equivalence which we call a logical equivalence. Now we are asked to prove if P is correct, then Q must be correct. But we are unable to prove this because we don't have the capability. But proving it this way is quite easy. If we can prove if Q is not the case, then P is also not going to be correct. Okay? So this is why you must know mathematical proofs. It will teach you how to prove a statement in a very rational way. Also, it will compensate for your mathematical deficiencies. Now, this is one ability that you will acquire if you know your logic. Let's look at the second ability that you're going to acquire. You'd be able to organize your answers in such a way that no one is able to challenge it. Think of this metaphor. Now, there is this prosecutor who has a case against a well-known criminal. Okay, now in the court, the criminal is there, the prosecutor is there. Now, imagine that the prosecutor has all the evidence in the world to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the suspect has committed the crime. Okay, imagine that. Okay, he has all the evidence in the world. But if he does not argue his case to convince the jury that what he is saying is rational, if his argument is not linear, if it does not link all the evidence together properly, you know what's going to happen? He's going to lose the case. Same way, right? You might be knowing all the theorems in the world and you might be having lot of mathematical capability, but if you do not organize your answer in such a manner, you will be challenged and you will fail. So you see why logic is very important. Logic is not rocket science, right? It is a simple thing, just common sense. But it's a sad thing that students are not taught logic early. That's the problem. Most of the time, students are taught logic when they are doing their advanced levels or when they enter college or whatever, right? So it is a sad thing. That is why I say if you want to learn pure mathematics from scratch, please learn your logic. Thank you.